So continuing on from Italy, we made our way to the capital of Slovenia, Ljubljana. But before we get into that, in the last video I completely forgot to rate Turin and Venice. So I would give Turin a we'll be back as soon as possible because everything about it was pretty perfect. And Venice the bottom tier because there was nothing really that nice about it. It smelled bad and it was super touristy. So, train to Slovenia, and we actually got like...
It's a night jet.
Yeah, whatever that is. It has a door that closed. Crazy.
He's train.
Wrong direction.
He's train surfing.
I fell in. So Slovenia has these like unloaded buildings that there's like multiple of. It actually is a really nice looking city though.
It is lovely.
Yeah, really.
Jesteśmy w Ikei, szukamy szczura.
A kiedyś tam nawet tangnęła dyskiem came for.
Mamy nadzieję, że po prostu niektórzy ludzie będą całkowicie zdezorientowani.
Ja, tam wedi clywed na loch na môr ar na
Jest tu wiele mniej ludzi niż w Portugalii.
While we were in Slovenia, we decided to take the advice of past travelers and go to the most scenic place in Slovenia, as we were told, Lake Bled.
Hello, ducks!
Lake Bled was one of the most scenic places I had ever been in my life up to that point, so I would rate it a we'll be back as soon as possible on the tier list. Going into this small town on the way back from Bled to Ljubljana was a really good insight into what life is actually like in Slovenia, in small towns and just kind of areas outside of the capital in general. This is not where Spar belongs. After taking a cycle through Ljubljana one final time, we set our sights on Austria, our fourth country in the trip, and Ljubljana gets a we'll be back as soon as possible on the tier list. Due to its incredible scenery and the fact that everything about it was really nice, everyone spoke English very well, and it was just super friendly in general.
I would love to be a mountain goat in Slovenia. I would be such a happy mountain goat.
So we've just crossed the border into Austria. This pole is in German. That's cool. A guy came around and actually asked for a passport. First time that's happened. Upon arriving in Austria, clearly our accommodation that we paid very little for wasn't quite up to par with standards, but it did the job. So despite the fact that Vienna had some really nice architecture and some really impressive street performers, it didn't really have that much to offer as far as exploration and really excitement. Although it did have this, which I was really surprised about, a little bit of Irish, which I certainly didn't expect in Austria of all places. So I probably have to rate it middling on the tier list. Here's another example of the travel pass being used for spontaneous things. We've just decided to get on a train to Prague like 5 hours early, just because it was here at the station. As soon as we got out of the train in Prague, we realized that every building here looks stunning for like no reason, including this museum, in which I gained a sudden fascination with rocks for some reason.
Rock collecting? They're minerals.
Look at how, like, just normal buildings look so cool.
Look at that dome. It's reflecting bright and gold.
Yeah. So after I decided to ascend to an ethereal plane, we decided to look for some more rats in Ikea. So we've taken a metro way out of the center of Prague. We're like 9 kilometers away to go to Ikea.
Again.
Yeah. To find a rat. We thought we'd be able to get one from each country. No. They hate us. we found this cucumber. It was in someone's trolley, and the trolley thing, it's now our pet. We spent like 20 minutes in the rain looking for the way to Ikea. There is no way to Ikea without a car, so we had to run across the road where we actually almost watched the people in front of us get hit by a car. And when we thought all hope was lost, there it was. Gosigrata. After the hard day of hunting down these rats, we decided to go out and celebrate with this rat. But little did we know the consequences that would come of this. On our way back, I realised that the rat was no longer tied to my girlfriend's bag. It had been lost to the Czech public. Rest in peace. So, we conclude the trip with 4 rats. We have 1 casualty. I guess he just really wanted to stay in Prague. I don't know.
Can drive home.
Yeah. And with that concludes our trip, not only to Prague, but the entire Europe trip. Overall, I would give Prague would probably come back on the tier list. And the whole trip in general, I would totally recommend to anyone eligible to apply for DiscoverEU. And yeah, goodbye.